Hey guys, welcome to Approach the Nerds Arrowverse Wednesday, which we normally do a lot earlier than this. I had some repairmen at my house. Unfortunately, they did not leave until about an hour ago, so it's been an all-day experience, but there was no air in here. And I'm sorry, I can't sit in here with no air, so I had to push it. So shouldn't happen again unless the air in my old building goes out again. But we're here and we have a lot to talk about. Disclaimer, if you're in my stream last night, I have a sinus infection. I'm so sorry if I sound clogged, if I stop breathing, if I start, talking in tongues. It's because my sinuses are now taking over my entire head and there's nothing I can do about it. So we'll be sipping tea a lot during this stream. Okay, so we have 3 shows as usual to talk about. We have Legends of Tomorrow, we have Stargirl, and we have Supergirl. So we're going to try and go in this order. So first off, we have Legends of Tomorrow, which was entertaining. If you remember last week, the episode ended with Sarah basically staring at these hairy feet that are being pretty much printed out by Gideon's printer. And of course, we all knew it was Bishop. Lord and behold, it's Bishop. So Bishop has been reformed. To do a short recap, basically, nobody trusts him, obviously, because he kidnapped Sarah. He basically made her into an alien hybrid. He's just an all-around not good guy with plans of world domination, blah, blah, blah. So Bishop has an agenda. And Ava, who I love Ava. If you remember the episode where they went to the prom because they were trying to stop a serial killer, a young guy from becoming a serial killer, yada, yada. And Ava basically made the comment that she is a big, fan of serial killers. And she even has a podcast. This was her wheelhouse. She wanted to do an interrogation so bad. She was trying to go in there, all Silence of the Lamb, interrogate, Bishop, make him trust her, get into his head and reveal his evil plan. That was what she was going for. But we should have known that Ava is not the one to be able to go to her technically creator, or at least the person that made her blueprint, and get information when she is still very much struggling in accepting herself as a clone. Now, it does help now that her fiance is technically also a clone, but, Ava's had no connection to anything. Her parents weren't real. She doesn't have a family, and Bishop used that against her this entire episode, but he did it in such a backhanded, manipulative way where he made her feel like he could relate because he's a clone and he has no family. And, at the end of the day, I get it, we're just alone. We're nobodies, but then he turns it around. But, actually, you are somebody. I created you and you went out and became the best you can be. And I'm like, he is such an asshole. But he basically worked Ava in the interrogation. Everything from helping her plan the wedding and actually making good choices that Sarah liked, to, basically getting her to get into her own feelings, therefore taking the heat off of him in the interrogation. We also learned that 6% of Sarah's DNA is in Bishop. And it just happens to be the 6% that knows all the damn codes of the Wave Rider and Gideon. So he's known how to get out of the containment field, the little containment area they always put everyone in, which I kind of feel like is in the kitchen or the break room of Legends. He knew how to get out of that thing the entire damn time, but he was biding his time because he does have a master plan. And we'll get to that in a second. So there are technically 3 things going on here. Technically 4, but technically 3 main things going on. So the whole time Ava is interrogating Bishop, Sarah is playing chess with Nate, and they're basically, it's almost like doing commentary for a sports event. They're doing commentary for what Ava's doing, with Bishop, which I thought is interesting, that this game of chess they're playing. Very good metaphor. And at the same time, we have Constantine, who he kind of has a split story because he's dealing with Zari, but he's also dealing with himself. I swear to you, his inner self is like the Constantine from the comics, literally dark Justice League, crap to me. So I'm like, it's so weird to see that nonchalant, I don't give a fuck about anything type attitude from Constantine that we've been missing in Legends. Because, you know, I love Legends of Tomorrow, love Constantine, or as Groove likes to say, Constantine, but he is definitely more campy in Legends than he is in the comics. And I'm not saying that Constantine is not a good guy, but at the end of the day, he is an anti-hero. So, like, he's not as extreme as his darker, you know, evil self, but it's a fine line between the two. And I love that we got to see this, because I missed his ability to be this much of an asshole. So I loved the interactions. I'm very confused on how his bad dark self was able to beat the hell out of him, because I didn't think that was a physical thing. I mean, talk about fighting your demons. I'm just saying. But that, like, literally evil, dark, you know, John laid the smackdown on him so hard that he literally became him. So it's sad, because again, I told you we're dealing with him and Zari. Remember last week, Zari told her brother that she's in love with John, but she hasn't told John. Well, now they kind of dropped the L word a little bit, and she made him choose between the boost juice, that's what I call it, or, you know, her. And at first he grabs the vial, but then he throws it in the trash. So he decides to go back to his house and detox, you know, like a heroin addict or anybody who has addiction. And so she decides to go there with him. And the whole thing kind of takes place because Zari didn't trust him at all after what happened with the game, you know. And so she's kind of been like, she's that girlfriend that's like, you have a problem, you're not sharing with me, and it's pissing me off. And so of course she goes to Astra, and of course they go to Spooner, and then they realize that of course Spooner had his memory kind of wiped. And at least Spooner had that whole situation where he was supposedly drunk out of the fountain and did not wipe, which we did see him do. And so they learn all of this wonderfulness that John's been lying, basically. Zari, she realizes that John's been lying. And well, we already know this is not going to have a happy ending, because the actor who plays Constantine has said he is not going to be playing Constantine anymore. He's going to be playing a brand new character, supposed to be a physicist or something like that, but it will still be involved in Legends. So he's hanging up the Constantine, you know, pretty much jacket, cigarettes, whatever. It's so hard for me because I love that character, and I feel sad. I wish that Constantine had got picked up by Netflix like Lucifer did. Because even the one good thing about Crisis is we got to see both Lucifer and Constantine together, and I always thought that was really cool. But yeah, I'm gonna miss Constantine a lot. But yeah, long story short, though, Bishop's plan is basically to find the weakest member. He wants the weakest member of their team to ally with to basically get what he wants. And he knew it wasn't going to be Ava. He tried. He was using Ava, you could see, as an experiment. He knew he wasn't going to get through to Spooner, Astrid. He couldn't get through to Rory and Mick, because they're the other story that I'm talking about, and we'll talk about that in a second. The only person he could actually manipulate was John, but not the John that's fighting the addiction. It is literally the John who is evil, who wants his powers back, and that's what he's asking. He's offering to get his powers back if he helps him. And so, of course, Bishop is such a turd. I'm seeing the chat, guys. Yido, Mercenary, thanks for stopping by. I know it's late. This is not when we normally do our Arrowverse, but yeah, I do appreciate you being in here. So thank you so much for joining me when you could. I'm going to try and keep this short. I know we have 3 shows to talk about, but I promise you we will not be in here for 2 hours. I don't think I can talk for 2 hours with this sinus infection. So doing my best, guys. All right. So, but yeah, Bishop's an asshole. Just it is. His world domination, superiority, narcissistic nature. He's just an asshole. So at the same time, Mick is going into labor. But the reason that Mick goes into labor is because it's induced by Bishop. Because Bishop's like, I can help your friend, Rory. He's having these horrible head pains. I can help him. So he concocts this thing that actually makes Mick go into labor. And labor is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. And I've had natural childbirth. I'm telling you, it is disturbing to see a man have alien things come out of it. Like, literally, they're coming out of his nose, and his eye was almost popped out at one point. Oh, it was horrible. And he had 48 of them. I was like, I can't handle this at all. It was disturbing. But Bishop delivered them because what he wanted to do was he wanted to take his earwig out because, the communicators they use are in their ears so that he can contact the weakest link. So that's how he literally got everything. Was like playing a chess. It was the best metaphor. Sarah and Nate were playing chess, and so was Bishop. He was playing chess with them the entire damn time, and he checkmated them. They just don't realize it yet. They don't realize it because he's still coming off as somebody who wants to join the legends. He wants to go on these little campy adventures with the legends, and he wants to be a legend. And it's full of shit. So, yeah, I'm actually excited to see where Bishop is going to take this because, again, dark, nasty, evil John Constantine is going to be no joke. But one thing I will say about the Arrowverse, they don't leave a plot, long for you to stew in. So it's not going to be a slow burn plot like you see in other networks and other shows. They usually resolve their stuff like very quickly. So I do know that whatever Bishop is trying to do, like his full end game, because I know we know his full end game is not going to be revealed immediately. So that's a thing. I love how everybody talks like they're sitting on Linda's couch from Lucifer. Like they're all about talking about their feelings, their insecurities. It's like the whole show is like, yeah, I'm feeling really alone. And the whole scene with Ava and Sarah, where she's like, I don't have a family. I don't have these memories. I don't have anything, and that's why it's hard for me to plan this wedding because I've never been to a wedding because I don't have anything, and I love her and Sarah. I love how Sarah talks her up and she's like, basically we're your family. I'm your family. I love you. You're loving. You don't need to learn how to love. Bishop messed Ava up so much, and it was so sad how quickly that happened. So it's a thing. It is a thing. But yeah, so like I said, those were the main storylines of this episode. Again, the highlight for me was seeing Mick give birth because it really was. I will give the department, the makeup department, the special effects department props. It was disgusting. Disgusting. So it's a thing, guys. It is a thing. But yeah, so that was Legends in a nutshell. What I'm going to do is, instead of us just pausing, from one show to the other, just to ask questions, I'm just going to jump right into Supergirl. And I want to be real with you guys. Don't be mad at me, okay? But you can be if you need to be. Supergirl bored the shit out of me. I am so sorry. It bored the... It was so boring. I am not joking, guys. I fell asleep twice. I had to go back to my DVR and rewind it because it was boring me so much. I know I have a sinus infection. I know I probably was just tired, but I didn't fall asleep on Stargirl and I didn't fall asleep on Legends, and I watched all three of them back to back. So I don't know what that says. So, but it was it was rough. So basically, we had Superman and Lois last week. We had their season finale. So, ended pretty well. I'm loving to see what's going to happen with that. We talked about that in our last Arrowverse. So now we have Kara. She's back. The episode is called Welcome Back, Kara. But Kara's not back. Kara has PTSD from being in the Phantom Zone. And it is very bad. It is extremely bad PTSD, which of course she does. Now, the timeline, please correct me if I am wrong. It's only been one day since they saved her, because the way Alex was talking, she's like yesterday or last night. So Kara and her dad were basically under the yellow sun lamps, getting their strength back up. And it seems to only be a 24-hour period. The only reason I'm talking about this is that I feel really bad for Kelly, because Kelly went with them to save Kara in the Phantom Zone, went through all of this crap, but she still had to go to orientation for her new job the next day. It's like, I don't have to sleep. I don't need to be rested. I'm just going to go to work. And I'm like, that is so weird. I'm sorry. That was really weird. I love the fact that they had Brady go get the welcome back cake for Kara, and they told him to go get it in a rush because they were scared he was going to eat it if they gave him time to pick the cake up, because he's a stress eater. It's a thing. It is a thing. But yeah, so we're talking about Zor-El. Zor-El is back with his daughter. He's trying to learn everything that Kara does before he goes, off, to see, his wife that he hasn't seen in forever. He just wants to know what her life is like. So, he goes to work with her at first. Apparently he ripped off the door because he doesn't have a handle of his strength, which makes sense. I mean, Kara and Clark both had years to test their powers out. He just got them, so he's kind of all over the place with it. They go to Catco because basically so Dreamer's been covering for Kara, saying she's been on this mission with this leader that doesn't want to, first of all, was going to come clean about some regime he's doing or something. I wasn't paying attention, I'm gonna be real with you, but it was basically a lie, that a secret mission that she was supposed to be on with Kat for a story. And then she gets there and of course Andre is like, oh, so you're going to get another Pulitzer and this is going to be great for business because right now Catco is not doing well. It is not doing well. They are number 8 right now in National City. So Andrea's like, if we don't turn this around, I'm just going to have to get all new staff. And so she's putting everybody like full force, finding stories to save Catco, to get Catco back where it needs to be. And ironically, the story that Kara gets is basically to do with the attack in National City by the Phantoms, which Kara didn't know anything about because nobody told her. And they also, Andre also wants her to go and interview victims of the Phantom and people that have, basically returned into Phantoms and were basically turned back to see how their trauma's doing. Just everything to do with the Phantom Zone or Phantoms, which is triggering Kara's PTSD. She doesn't want to talk about it, but, I know Alex specifically can see something's wrong, but nobody's really saying anything because, again, it's only been 24 hours. This is what I'm thinking is 24 hours. So yeah, that is a thing. I love that Kara went up to Lena and said that it was only because of her that she's home. And I'm like, queer baiting again, I see. It's been a minute. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I think it's interesting that was her reaction. Her response to Lena was like, because you were here, I was saved. Not everybody else, because Lena, because you were on the team, I was saved. I'm telling you guys, it is queer baiting. And now Kara is free because, what's his name? William, she just kind of left hanging. And now he's dating a girl that he met while she was gone or trapped in the Phantom Zone. So he's moved on with his life. So she's now single again. So all of us who think that Kara and Lena should hook up, she's a free agent now. It's the last season. Do what you want. I mean, why the hell not? So it's a thing. But I just thought that was really, really interesting. And I love that on top of this, Zor-El is trying to help save Earth, but he's still trapped in the not being able to save Krypton, which makes sense. Again, PTSD. Krypton blows up. You get stuck in the Phantom Zone for years. Your daughter was trapped the entire time with you and you were nowhere near each other, which is so messed up because now the Phantom looks like literally Crisis on Infinite Earths. So, I mean, you're still in this mindset of my planet is dead. Time has not moved forward for Zor-El. So I think that's interesting. Whereas everybody else is like, yeah, Krypton died, blew up a long time ago. You late. So yeah, I love that, he is trying to contribute. He wants to see what, Kara does. They go, there's a satellite coming down. They're able to stop it. But part of it lands on this garbage landfill. And they see that there's lots of garbage there. And of course, Zor-El's like, you know what? That happened on Krypton before everything went boom. So how about, we find a way to save the oceans of this world because, I mean, the oceans are dying. And he binge watched Sesame Street and was able to concoct a way of using, what's his name? Keelix, Brainy's Keelix robot or android or AI, well, not AI, we'll say robot, to modify it to go collect all of the garbage all over the world. And I'm like, that little robot is not going to be able to get all that damn garbage. Well, what actually ends up happening is there's some kind of error in its software or coding, and it ends up bonding with the trash and turns into a very big trash monster. It's kind of like Swamp Thing meets some concocted creature that they probably have on Captain Planet. And now they have to figure out a way to stop it because if it explodes, it's like an atomic bomb and it'll kill thousands of people. See, no good deed goes unpunished in Supergirl. Just saying. But long story short, they are able to implant a virus into it because again, it's just what it is. And they're able to destroy the core that's going to blow up and then take the rest of the residual body, or Kara takes it and throws it into the sun. The reason I'm recapping this so quickly, guys, is because honestly, it was boring. Like it bored the hell out of me. And I feel so bad because this is their last season. And I know maybe some more really interesting things are going to happen in the rest of this season. But I think because this is Kara's PTSD, I'm back from the Phantom Zone episode. Maybe it's not meant to have depth or action or anything worthwhile. So I just feel like, I don't know. And, every time I see Martian Manhunter do anything, not do anything that he comically does, like you're trying to figure out a way to get to this creature now to be able to implant this virus when you have an alien that can shift through matter. I don't understand why Martian Manhunter could have just shift through the damn thing with the damn virus. I don't understand that. I guess I'm just not going to understand that. So that is a thing. But again, it is what it is. I'm kind of like, like it was just really hard for me. Like, again, we saw the Daxamate technology, we saw the cloaking, we saw all of this really cool tech stuff. And we always see this. Like, even Zor-El was impressed with, Watchtower and all the stuff that Martian Manhunter or John was doing. It's just, there really wasn't a lot to this episode. There really wasn't. I mean, it's just her coming back. I mean, and the monster's name was Oscar because of, Sesame Street. Yeah, I don't. Like, it's just a thing. I don't know what's going to happen with Andra. She uses her Acrodat medallion to, like, she goes and breaks into Lex's office and she's like looking for like any type of information. And then she finds out that Lex was actually, the source about Lex was actually telling the truth. And then she finds like a file that says something about the Super Friends. So that's a thing that's kind of cool. But again, who knows what the hell is going to happen with that? She does assign William to like basically, you're basically going to be everywhere that these Super Friends are and follow their every move because we need to be on top. She's obsessed with getting everything, Catco on top. She wants to be the number one, newspaper, magazine, whatever. In National City in terms of anything happening in terms of the super crew, which I like to call them, and aliens and blah, 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 turn to them first. So basically she wants to be the Daily Planet. That's basically what it is. So she is definitely picking up where Cat left off, being in fierce competition with the Daily Planet and every other paper, even though Metropolis and National City are technically not supposed to be in the same place. But I mean, hell, at this point, who knows anymore? I mean, I don't know what Crisis did. But yeah. At the end, Zor-El basically apologizes for screwing everything up, and he's like, I'm going to go to Argo City and see my wife because I'm sure Laura's waiting on me. I probably should go save the woman I've been in love with and haven't seen in all these years and let her know I'm alive. But it's the thing. But yeah, and of course he gives Kara some fatherly advice saying, you don't have to burden everything. Stop like being the person that shoulders everything. The Earth is not your whole responsibility. Other people on Earth can take care of Earth and blah, blah, blah. And then we see Nia, she's having issues seeing she's having issues seeing Kara, talking with her father because she misses her mom. She looks at her picture a lot. She also talks to Lena about it and tells Lena that, she basically is accepting her mother's death, but there's something bothering her and she has this fear and she gets these visions. She doesn't know, basically what we already knew. Nia doesn't know how to be Dreamer fully because her mother died before she had a chance to train her. So that's a thing. And then Lena apparently accepts that she didn't have anything to do with her mother's death. And she decided to go back to where she was born, wherever the hell that is. And I don't know if this means she's going to be out the rest of the season. I hope not. But it's a thing. I guess I don't think she's going to be out because they have Nixley, and we see Nia actually wakes up having a nightmare about Nixley at the end of this episode. So I don't think Lena's out for the rest of the season, but it'd be interesting. Maybe we'll get like a side story with her and she'll actually start realizing or finding some family members outside of the Luthers that aren't worth a shit. So, But that is literally Supergirl in a nutshell. So we will come back to that. So let's move on to Stargirl. Stargirl. What a great episode. I got a little bit of my wish. We had a tiny bit of Beth in this episode. Not a lot. Tiny bit of Beth. But I'll get to that in a second. So basically, we start off, we see Christmas time at the JSA. So it was like 11 years before, basically 11 years ago. And we see Johnny. We meet Johnny Thunder. And basically him and Pat are sitting on the bench because the rest of the JSA were like, you're not worthy. And so they're talking, and of course Johnny's like saying, well, at least with Thunder, with Thunder, I can't even say I'm a sidekick. I'm just like a charity case. I'm just a person that the JSA always have to basically pick up after, because my power is a genie that does basically, he reminds me of the genie from Ruby. If you watch Ruby, you basically have to be extremely literal or you are screwed. So that's literally him talking about how, he doesn't feel like he's even a sidekick, and Pat saying, oh no, I wanted to go out there too, but I'm sure, I trust Starman, and what he tells me and blah, blah, blah. Well, then of course, Ted Grant comes and gets Johnny Thunder. And, Pat's just, basically sitting on the sideline. He's not allowed to go anywhere, and of course, Ted even tells him, you have a kid, so that's your priority. Basically, stay out of this fight. So the reason I thought this was a very significant, scene to see first, which I thought was really well played in putting this first, because then we get to see what Mike's been feeling the entire time since he found out that Courtney was Stargirl. He's extremely lonely. We learn he finds the pen in a very interesting way, and he finds it because he's running a paper route, or he's doing a paper route. Apparently, he's got another paper route added on to him. He is getting bullied and beat up by these guys every morning, which is probably why he wanted to quit the paper route to begin with. He actually came home with his shirt and stuff torn, but they were so, Pat, Courtney, and Barbara were so into talking about this plan with the Shade, that they literally did not see that he had been beaten up. So that's why he feels extremely alone. He basically is his dad, and his dad is not seeing it. I think that is very weird, and very interesting, and kind of makes Pat a little bit of a hypocrite. But again, he's also a father, so I see it both ways. But long story short, he's going to write down this new addition to his paper route that the boss is calling him about. And he starts scribbling, and his pen runs out of ink, so he runs into Courtney's room and he picks up the pen and he writes with it. And basically Thunder basically comes out at some point. I can't remember if it's right then or if it's when he's actually on the route, but Thunder comes out. And Thunder is crazy. Thunder, I mean, seriously, and his voice kind of reminds me of old Robin Williams, a little younger Robin Williams version of the genie in Aladdin. So very animated, very cool. I accept this Thunder. He is accurate as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, we get to see some kind of craziness with the wishes that Mike makes. He wishes to be taller, so he puts him on a park bench. He wants the guys to stop bullying, because they're bullying this little girl now that's selling Girl Scout cookies, and he wants them to stop, so he makes a wish for the guys to stop, and a bunch of stop signs keep appearing in front of them all the time, which is crazy. He's just nuts. The thing is just nuts. Well, even though he has the pen and he's like, well, now I'm the newest member of the JSA, Pat's like, nope. So he tries to take the pen, but the pen keeps going back to Mike. Now, at the same time, Barbara, who's been doing her own research on, basically the Shade, because, she wants to know why he came to her. I get it now that she knows who he is and what he is, because, she went to Pat, and Pat let her know that that's the last member of the ISA. So that's somebody they need to be afraid of, need to take down, blah, 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 blah. She's kind of in this warehouse area looking at things that he had asked for to try and figure out why he wanted them. And he's there. And I kept thinking, wow, she could have been killed by him instantly. If he really wanted her dead, Shade's ability is to control shadows. The lights went out at one point. He could have killed her. He wanted to take this empty box, and she's like, well, you really can't take that because, it's inventory. Well, he takes it anyway. And then she finds out it's a prop diamond, or prop black diamond. So kind of like junk jewelry. But, of course, Pat knows it's actually the black diamond, which means it's Eclipso. And we'll get to that in a second too. But yeah, it's a very tense scene with Barbara. So I thought that was really interesting because Barbara has no powers. She has no abilities to protect herself, and she's always in the thick of it. She's literally, like last season, she was with Icicle. This season, she's like she's a first point in contact with the Shade. So there's some stuff to that. So I think that's really interesting. Tiny little side note with, of course, Beth found out that the Shade is the one that killed the former Dr. Midnight. So now she is like obsessed with getting revenge. She's like, he's the only one that hasn't been revenged. She acts like this is a relative of hers, which I thought was really interesting. But, another thing is she's actually in her feelings because her parents are getting divorced. So she thinks they are. So a lot of her anger and a lot of her frustrations and fear, all of that stuff's coming out with the JSA business, which I thought was really interesting. But it's a thing. So, but case in point, Shay does have the box because when they were in there going through William Zarek's stuff, he got the box. And he did make a comment in the end of this episode. He was standing up, I think it was on like the tower or lighthouse, whatever. And he was like, he's going to kill all the children. It makes it seem like the Shade is there to intervene between Eclipso and them. Like he has no love for it. He's like, I have no love for the ISA. I don't care a shit about the JSA. Something's going, he needs Eclipso. I don't know if he wants to use Eclipso or if he wants to stop Eclipso. Because, technically, if you have common sense, Eclipso is kind of like DC Mephisto. So you don't want to have Eclipso around because you're never going to be in charge. Like Cindy's seeing that now. She's not in charge. Eclipso is. So I don't know what Shade's full motive is. And I want to say there's more to it because this show is, for the most part, well written. So I don't put this on the same track as The Flash and Supergirl. So I feel like we have a lot more. There's a lot more to him and why he's there than meets the eye. And he even said it himself. When they all go to his house to basically, they find out where he lives. They find out because, of course, Thunder. They make a wish and they spend like a long time phrasing it perfectly to find where Eclipse or where the Shade is, which I thought was really funny. They find out where he is. He's sitting there. He already has teacups out. He's like, I don't think I have enough biscuits, blah, 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 blah. And, they kind of benched Mike. So Mike shows up with Eclipso with this well-written out thing to try and trap, the Shade. And of course, the Shade, because he controls shadows, is able to deflect it and knocks Mike down and then basically knocks everybody down. And then literally says, I'm warning you, stay out of my way. So that's what I'm saying. If he really wanted to kill them, I feel like he would have done it. Like he could have done it right then. The only person he was having trouble against was Courtney because of the light of the staff. Light and shadow, mortal enemies. So, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen with that, but I will say that I thought it was really interesting that there is definitely more going on with the Shade than him just being a villain out to get revenge for the death of his former teammates. So I am very excited about that. Now, Mike, like I said, Thunder said the reason that he did choose Mike is because they were both alone. They're both lonely. And Pat was like, is that true? And Barbara said, well, if that is true, then, it's basically on all of us. And I'm like, yeah, it really is. Like, it really, really is. I feel like I said this in my reviews for season 1. I feel so sorry for Mike because Mike was always the one left in the dark. He was never included. Even in the breakfast scene of this damn episode, they were like getting all of their breakfast order stuff in. Courtney's saying what she has to say. And Courtney's being a little smart ass to her mother, saying, leave this to the professionals. I mean, little girl. I'm like, nah, she needed a good switch. But Mike stood there with half his shirt ripped and nobody effing noticed him. And I'm like, the dog gets more attention than Mike does. I feel bad for him. I really do. I feel really bad for him. And even when he messed up, unlike Courtney, who would throw tantrums last season, and Courtney did defend him. I'll give him this. Mike and Courtney's like sibling thing, even though he refers to her as sister now, a brother and sister duo. And she's like, hey, I'm down with that. And she was defending him. Mike took responsibility for screwing up a hell of a lot faster than Courtney did, which I thought was interesting. He's like, no, I screwed up. I did this. And then he wished that the pen would be in better hands. And then it gets to Jakeem. And we all knew it was going to go to Jakeem because it's comic accurate. But Jakeem is just as lonely, if not more, than Mike. I mean, his sister called him a loser. I'm pretty sure his mom was calling him a loser. He's like, yeah, I'm a loser. And then here comes, Thunder. So I don't know when they're going to meet up with Jakeem in that way. If they're going to have him like play out a JSA role in this eventually, simply because they don't know where the pen went. And even though Jakeem also works the paper route like, Mike and is friends with him at school, if I got a magical genie pen, I probably wouldn't tell anybody either. They probably think I was crazy. And I don't know how close Jakeem and Mike are. There was an episode in season 1 where I think Jakeem was supposed to come sleep over, but Pat had canceled it last minute, so we didn't get to see their interaction. So maybe we will now, and maybe we'll actually get to see Mike's school. I don't know. That'd be really interesting. But in all case and purposes, I think that Mike he really is the character that I really feel the most sorry for, because in the comics, he does start training under Pat and learn the family business like he wants. But in this one, it seems to be a long time coming. And simply because, Pat doesn't want anything to happen to Mike. He doesn't. He doesn't want anything to happen to Courtney, but he knows he can't do anything to Courtney. And Courtney's a stepdaughter, and she's going to do what she's going to do. But he feels like because Mike is his biological son, he can keep him safe by keeping him out of all this, which and I always say this, guys, I always say this. And the same thing I said about Superman and Lois. If you want to keep your kids safe, then stop moving them to towns where there are villains. Don't move. Now, to play devil's advocate, I know that coming to Blue Valley in season 1, he felt, the ISA is gone. There's no threat, yada, yada, yada. But the moment you saw that there was a threat, that should have been like, we need to get our shit and leave. I'm like, that's what normal families do. It's like, this isn't safe. I'm like, not safe. So Pat's like playing both sides, and it's kind of irritating a little bit because you can't have one kid out there as Stargirl and have another kid that you're like, no, sit down, it's too dangerous, because you're basically alienating that child. You're telling that child that they are not smart enough, strong enough, and powerful enough to be part of this team. And that is so messed up. And I love how Barbara's like, I don't have a costume, I don't have any powers, and we're part of this team. Yeah, but you're saying that. But nobody's saying that to Mike. And I feel extremely sad for him. I do feel sad for him. Hello, Kevin. How are you doing? I see you guys in there. I'm just trying to get through this really quickly so we can go on with our questions, because Mama's not feeling good today. And I want to make sure I get all this stuff out while I can still talk and breathe. So Yolanda still very much in her feelings about what happened with Brainwave and her basically killing him. She went to Mike to ask him in the episode, how did you deal with, basically running down and killing Icicle? And he's like, well, it was an accident. Basically, he didn't know how to drive. He was just flooring it, and dude was in the way. He accidentally killed Icicle. He did not do it on purpose, and he admitted that, and that made Yolanda go more into herself. And she's having these headaches. Now, if you know anything about the comics with this character, you know that this character was actually born, well, her mother actually and her mother's sister were experimented on by their gynecologist. He was injecting them with this serum, and it mutated them. So she actually had cat-like abilities and powers. She was a metahuman. So the headaches kind of reminded me a lot of the comics. She also, Wildcat was not her original name. I'm doing a spotlight video on her, so make sure that, I guess I should just plug it. That's the next one that's coming out, is Wildcat. So Yolanda's story will be coming out, and you will see the differences between the Yolanda in this and the Yolanda in the comics. But what I will say is the headaches ring true for me, because that's something that happened way before she joined Infinity Inc. So I like that they had that in. I'm not going to say why they're happening, because I want to see if it's comic accurate, or if it's from her guilt, or if it's because Brainwave is still in her head. And there's a lot of theories that I have about why these headaches keep happening. So I definitely want to explore that. I'm still trying to figure out how the hell Yolanda's getting out of the house. I'm just being real. I know she goes to summer school. I'm just trying to figure out why her parents, who put her in summer school, she's a straight A student, to keep her out of trouble, are letting her run out at night. I don't know what's up with that. So I said this last season that we saw that one episode with how crazy her family is and strict they are, but yet she got out of that house every damn day. So I don't understand, because I know my parents and I know my life, and if they told me I couldn't go anywhere, I couldn't get out of that house. They checked on me every 10 minutes. There's no way in hell. So I don't know how she does it, but again, Yolanda's family is a conundrum to me. I don't understand it at all. So if you want me to add in an element of Arrowverse-ness, that is probably the one thing I will say that I will nitpick is Yolanda's freedom while not having any. It doesn't make sense to me. So it is what it is. Let's see. Also, let's go back to Beth is in her feelings. Again, like I said, her parents are getting divorced, or at least she thinks they're getting divorced. Chuck is literally not there. He's not there. Although we do hear him in this episode for a millisecond, he doesn't remember Beth at all. So she's in her feelings. Like, she's going on like a revenge quest for the original Dr. Midnight, which again is kind of funny considering the story, the comic version of them, because technically he was her mentor. He was a doctor. She was a doctor, and she loved him and blah, blah, blah. I did a whole spotlight video on Dr. Midnight, Beth Chapel, so you can look at it, but there's always been a connection. So I think it's interesting that they managed to have a connection in this way without her ever meeting him. So I was like, she is like, literally, I am going to get revenge for the original Dr. Midnight. And I'm like, well, okay. And then the other thing that I will say that I thought was interesting that gives me a little bit of hope, and I've been saying this for a long time, another big aspect of, Dr. Midnight or Beth in the comics is her relationship with Our Man. Because they were lovers in the comics. They were boyfriend and girlfriend, and that love affair went on until her death. And I know I'm probably spoiling some stuff, but probably not, because I don't think they're following the comics. So Yolanda also dies in the comics. So Yolanda and Beth both die in the comics, and but that's neither here nor there because this doesn't pertain to this at all. But I'm just showing the connection between Our Man and Dr. Midnight. I see in this, like, especially when she is like trying to fix, Chuck again. She's got the goggles hooked up, and they're just not. She cannot get Chuck to come back. It's driving her crazy. Like, she's literally like, I need him back. She's in her feelings. And again, her parents are helicopter parents, so I get it. And so when she's talking to Rick, she's like, this is, nothing is going right. We, Mr. Shade, our doctor, the Shade got away. All this stuff's happening. And he's like, what's really wrong? And he is the only one. He is literally the only one. Courtney asked her one time if something was up. And then when Beth said, oh, I'm just worried, at the end of school blues, and she just left to go. And nobody ever revisited this again. Rick is the only one that actually pays attention to her. And I don't know if this is a sign that we are going to have the same Beth and Rick ship in the show that we had in the comics, but I hope so. I really hope so. Because he's keeping secrets too. He's out there feeding Grundy. So, I mean, but he's like, you can talk to me. And I love that, because he doesn't talk to Courtney, and he doesn't talk to Yolanda, and he doesn't talk to Pat about anything really worthwhile, but he talks to Beth. So, as a matter of fact, in the last episode, when his phone rang, it was Beth that was asking him where he was. So, I love that. I love the idea of them being paired, because, again, it would be comic accurate. But she confides about her parents, and he's like, just talk to them. I would talk to my parents if they were alive, basically. And then they hear Chuck's voice, and he's like, I don't know who you are, but you're in danger. And he basically says Eclipso is back, and that's how they know about Eclipso. So I know that they're getting an edge up on Eclipso. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know what the plan is, because Eclipso is scary as shit. I mean, he's got this Sinister, The Conjuring, Pennywise, like all the majorly creepy tropes you see in horror movies. This is Eclipso in this. I love it. I love how it's filmed. I cannot wait to see how that version of evil is pitted against our little JSA members who can't even take out the Shade. So it's going to be a little bit of a mess. But as it stands, Jakeem has the pen now. Because Mike, he literally wishes that it would go into somebody else's hand that's more deserving, basically. And instantly he ended his superhero career. Bam! no longer have my power. I was like, well, it's a thing. But I mean, in the long run, I think Mike is going to be the next Stripes. Well, I'm going to say Stripesy, probably not Stripesy, but he'll definitely be the sequel to Pat, and learn how to control Stripe, when his dad's not able to, and yada, yada, yada. So, yeah. And I love, one more thing I loved about this episode is Barbara's suggestion for Stripe. She's like, doesn't it have a silent mode? What about invisibility? I'm like, yes, and yes. I love she's saying this. So that was really funny. I guess Zeke needs to get on that after the flamethrower. But yeah, I'm extremely happy with the progress of this show. So far, the Arrowverse writing has not touched this series, so I'm extremely happy with that. I'm of the opinion they carried their DC Universe writers over, and now they're just working for CW. Maybe they're just working for Jeff Johns. I don't know. But the writing is definitely, for me, still good enough that I don't consider it to be in the bad Arrowverse bucket. So we're doing something right. But yeah, that is, I just recapped all 3 shows in under 45 minutes. I'm so happy. So happy. Good. Okay, so let me go to the very top. Christian said, I thought the Supergirl episode was really boring, probably just as boring as season 4. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I did fall asleep on it twice. I'm not gonna lie about it. It's sad. It's really sad because Supergirl was never a show that didn't have potential. All of these shows had potential. It wasn't the cast. So it was hard. Hi, Ito. Hello, Blue. How are you? Yes, you finally caught the stream. I'm happy. Hello, D. Marie. Your hairstyle is giving me very much Winx Club. I'm channeling my inner Musa right now. Passing through. I think I already said hi to you or bye to you. Okay, we got some info for the next crossover. It sounds dope. Alex and Mia and Jefferson, etc., are returning, and Eric Wallace says it'll be some of the most emotional episodes The Flash has ever had. Okay. Interesting. Beat up John disappeared. Basically a battle between souls. That whole confrontation was such a mess. But I mean, I like it because it adds spice to it. So I'm okay with it. I decided Supergirl and Superman do have separate fortresses because Clark's base doesn't have his calyx. That's true. I thought they were different. Like, I mean, I have to assume that she had the same crystals in her, pod that he had in his. But I mean, to be fair, either of us could have been wrong because the Arrowverse never effing specified it. And that's another thing that got on my nerves. But yeah, whatever. It's character progression. Let me move down. Would you be willing to appear on any of the other in-universe shows, like maybe Superman and Lois? Well, I think that would be awesome. Also, her cousin could always use a little visit from his uncle. Yeah, I love playing Zor-El, and I would absolutely do that in a heartbeat. I mean, they made me a super suit, so I definitely felt it could get some more mileage out of it. He played Max Evans in the original Roswell, so I mean, it's fine. I think I have no problem at all with his portrayal of Zor-El at all. I mean, what do you really have to match it against in live action form besides the old, the movies, basically? So, I mean, there's nothing really to match his character against because even in the Supergirl movie with Helen Hunt, her parents were dead. So this is all new for Arrowverse, and it is the Arrowverse universe. So I have no problem with Zor-El at all. It's fine. I like that Iris inspired Kara, though, and motivated her probably for the rest of the season. That was nice. All about how she read her article about the community and Central City rebuilding. Yeah. Certain characters are coming back in the finale, so she may get together with one of them. You know what I find interesting about her being inspired by Iris? Kara has a Pulitzer. Iris does not. But there's no universe where Iris West does not have a Pulitzer because she's on the same level as Lois Lane in the comics, but not in the Arrowverse. They basically made her have her own magazine. She doesn't have a Pulitzer at all. As far as I can tell, she doesn't have a journalism degree because she majored in psychology. I'm assuming she finished college because, I mean, the pilot, she was writing her thesis, and I'm assuming that was either for her master's or for her PhD. but she majored in psychology and she took journalism as an elective. So, and then she got literally offered a job at her paper that's comic accurate, but then left that job and then made her own magazine, a digital magazine. So it's interesting. It's just very interesting to me. Certain characters are coming back in the finale, so she may get together with one of them. I want her to get with Lena and stop queer baiting all of us queer people. The Shade sounds worried about these kids. I know, right? I don't understand. Like the tone, he was like, literally, it's like, it's gonna kill all these children. And I'm like, what is happening with the Shade? I'm like, I need to know why he's trying to help them, because it seems the way the writing is, it seems like the Shade is not there to battle the JSA or JSA juniors. He's there to stop Eclipso. It'd be interesting. The Shade sound worried about the kids' safety. Yep, I agree with that. The ending makes it seem like Shade is gonna protect the kids from Eclipso, because when he said Eclipso was gonna kill those kids, he didn't seem happy about it. Maybe I was misreading it. If you're misreading it, we're all misreading it, because I got the same thing out of that. Forget it if Jenny left last episode. Forgot if Jenny left out. Yeah, Jenny left. We don't know where Jade went. We're assuming Jade went to go find her brother. That's what I said. Maybe he ends up being good. Who knows? I mean, I would love to have a new spin on the Shade. Like I said, this is with Stargirl, they can do whatever they want because Jeff Johns created this series. So he can spin it any way he wants. And we all know in comic books, they literally retcon things they do every few years anyway. So it's a thing. Ray Palmer and Ryan Choi are returning. Where the hell has Ryan Choi been? I mean, I write this crisis parody and I have nowhere to put him because I just have to add him, because they just kind of made it seem like he was going to come and be the new Adam, and then he just left. We saw him in DCEU. We saw him in the Snyder Cut, heading Star Labs, but where the hell is he? Where has he been? Where is the reference to Ryan Choi? It's weird. It's just really weird. But I mean, I'm glad. I mean, if Ray Palmer's coming back, that's cool. I heard fans say that the little girl in episode 1 was Dr. Midnight's daughter. Yeah, I think that is because it had McKnight on the actual McKnight on the actual mailbox. So it's either his daughter or his sister and niece. I can't remember. I have to go back and look at his family history. So I don't remember if he had a daughter in the comics. But again, this is also going to be Arrowverse. So I don't know. But yeah, definitely related. Supergirl was boring. I read more exciting fan fiction than that. Legends was good. Had a lot of fun. Wish Kayla stuck around for longer, though. Yeah, I don't know where Kayla went. And I don't know if Kayla left. I really don't think Kayla left without her baby. So that might be we might see her again in the next episode. Because for all we know, she's still on the ship somewhere. We have no idea. But yeah, Supergirl was just boring as hell. It was boring as hell. And I feel bad, but I mean, I was disappointed with the Supergirl episode. The feeling of loneliness was comic accurate. So I feel like that inputting this for their appearance in Superman and Lois to relate to her character arc. I would love for her to do a crossover there. I feel like I said, Melissa does not play a bad Supergirl. She's not a bad, card. It is all the writing. It is nothing to do with her. Unfortunately, you can't make gold out of toilet paper. So that's literally how I feel about that. And that episode bored the living hell out of me. I'm sorry. It was not good. I think it's his sister because she was probably too young back then. I think it is the sister. I do. I think it was a sister or niece. Or, yeah, it could be his little sister, though. Like I said, I'm going to have to go look at his backstory. It's been a minute. I was disappointed because they didn't give Supergirl enough action in this episode. I know. And there wasn't a lot of action in this, we're talking about a garbage monster. Come on. This season will be a battle for Mike's soul and character. I can see him joining Cindy to get their attention, but also I can see him rejecting her to prove his loyalty. You know what? I agree with that because Cindy has a picture of him. She's trying to recruit him. Plus, two things happened that I left out, and I always forget that guy's name. Oh my gosh, hold on. I gotta look up his name. Season 1. Because I literally forgot this kid's name, and I need to remember the kid's name. So 1 sec. Maybe it'll tell me. It might. It might not. I'm like, 1 second. Not you, not you, not you, not you, not you, not you. Hang on, I'm going down my list to make sure I don't miss anybody. What was this kid's effing name? Hold on. I feel like I'm looking at it, but I may be crazy. Yes. Isaac. So Isaac is in there. So, that's the fiddler's son, basically. So Isaac was sitting in their class because he's taking summer school. First of all, Isaac is a creepy ass kid anyway. But I don't understand why Courtney and Yolanda just feel free to talk about JSA business pretty loudly where anybody can hear them in the classroom. But that's not bad writing. Those are just teenagers. But I just thought it was really interesting. So Isaac, I think is going to gung-ho go with Cindy, like 100%, because, he's already hearing stuff. Like, she's literally, Yolanda's like, I can't do like anything like I did with Brainwave. Well, in Isaac's mind, if he's overhearing this, that means not only did you kill, Brainwave, you killed my mother. That's what he's saying in himself, so he's going to probably blame the JSA for his mother's death, even though they didn't kill her. So Isaac's already on that. He's definitely going to be on, the track. We know next week Sportsmaster is coming back with his lovely wife, and that, we already have their daughter losing her shit. So Artemis is losing her shit, saying my parents are not guilty, and she just literally squeezed this apple. It was like nothing. So I have a feeling that something's going to happen with her parents. She's going to connect it to Courtney, aka the JSA, and then she's going to be on Cindy's team. I think all of them are going to be recruited. Jordan's going to learn how his father died, and he's going to be hurt, and he's going to go off with Cindy to get revenge. So we're going to have all these kids willingly going. The only, black sheep of this group is Mike, because Mike does love his family, but he feels like they aren't paying attention to him, and he doesn't feel like he's part of the family. And I think that you're absolutely right. I think Eclipso is going to manipulate him by playing on his insecurities and his loneliness and make him do something bad. But instead of devouring his soul, make him one of the minions or whatever. So it probably will be a battle for Mike's soul. I can see that coming, especially even when you look at this episode now where Barbara was like taking, like, if he's feeling lonely, then that's also on us. And then she just changes the subject and she's like, I found something today. And then we're just not talking about Mike anymore. And Courtney was upstairs with him, but I'm just like, that's crazy to me. So I feel trillion effing % sorry for Mike. If they had let him into the family business and gave him some kind of responsibility where he felt like a part of the team, this would not be happening. This would not be a risk, but this is literally foreboding. It's showing you what happens when somebody is so lonely and feels so not connected to the rest of their family, how deeply they can fall out into the dark end or the deep end of darkness or whatever. So yeah, it's going to be funny and it's going to be interesting. And there's going to be lots of tears, and I cannot wait for more JSA members and other members of different teams to show up. As long as it's not Atom Smasher, I'm cool. Pretends to join Cindy, then betrays her. I don't know. I don't think he's going to pretend. I think that he's going to be brainwashed. I really do. But I mean, you could be right. He could actually try and be a double agent. That would be a really cool theory. So please remind me if that happens that you came up with that theory, and I will give you credit for it. I feel like Iris not getting a Pulitzer is racism. Just inconsistent writing. Literally everyone knows Iris in the comics and show. Now, I mean, like I said, they don't. I am not going to sit here and be an advocate for, other races and being a half Black woman, not say the same shit, because it's true. They do not know how to write powerful Black women in the Arrowverse. I'm not saying they don't know how to write them on other shows. There are some shows on the CW that are written pretty well. Normally, because they have minority writers. But when it comes to The Flash, no, they don't know how to write they don't know how to write minorities. So yeah, I really feel like Iris West would have been on the same level as Lois Lane. Iris should have been boss like effing Lois Lane in Superman and Lois from day one, because she literally has been on this show for 7 seasons? And she still doesn't have a damn Pulitzer. I mean, it's just bullshit. So no, Iris's character has been completely assassinated. But then don't get me started on that, because then I'm going to go back to Black Lightning and Lynn. Lynn is a physicist, brilliant, beautiful. What do you remember Lynn for? Fucking up, telling Jefferson he's trash, her and Jefferson being toxic together, her being a druggie. Like they literally gave her every negative minority, especially Black stereotype in that series. And it was almost a predominantly Black series. I mean, it's bullshit. So yeah, it's a thing, guys. Don't get me in my feelings on that, because I will call it out. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I do think that it is, if it's not racism, it is definitely a form of stereotyping that still is a systemic racism problem. So I do have a lot of problems with that. No matter how you feel about the character, no matter how you feel about the actress, the character itself was character assassinated, just like Lynn was. Dr. Lynn Stewart was assassinated character-wise in Black Lightning. So is what it is. I stand by it. Let's see here. How are they going to have Supergirl and Superman and Lois? And will she be powerful or something? Because in the timeline, she should have been Supergirl for years now. Well, remember, Crisis. That's the problem that I have, because they did Crisis. Sometimes I feel like they only did Crisis so that they could have a cover, something to blame for all of their fuck ups. Like, because you're absolutely right. Supergirl should have been basically carried on a lot longer. To be fair, though, she was stuck in the Phantom Zone, so she didn't age as fast. And of course, Clark is now older than her, so he's been Superman a lot longer than she is. But she's still. There should be some level of clout at this point. And I don't know. I think she's going to be powerful, but I don't know if she's going to beat him in his own show. She beat his ass in his show, and in her show when he came, she beat his butt. She beat him. I don't know if that will carry over to Superman and Lois. And to be fair, I still say this. I understand that Kara was still trapped in the Phantom Zone, probably the same timeline that all the stuff was happening, in Superman and Lois with the Eradicator and all of this crap. But I mean, how would they have known that if they hadn't called? They don't know what's happening with Kara unless they call Kara, unless they call somebody connected to Kara. Why wasn't that a conversation? Why didn't Lois say, I tried calling Kara, but they're dealing with some crap and they can't help us? I would have been like, okay, this is the connection. This shows you are a connected show. They never effing did that. You don't call your husband's cousin. You call literally John Henry first before you call Kara, who has a chance of whooping his ass, who you saw beat him down. And I'm like, I don't understand. Why? I will say, even though I hate that they showcase Dreamer more than Kara, I will say that I am excited to see Dreamer's face off against Nixie. So am I. I am absolutely excited for that. Hi, Chastin. How are you, lady? Welcome back, Yito. Crisis is the gift that keeps on giving. It's the gift you don't want. It's like that fruitcake that's been sitting in somebody's house for 20 years and they decide to give it to you one Christmas. Horrible. That's what that is. CW's world building is pretty lacking. When I learn more about MMOs, I'm gonna actually understand even more just how bad Arrowverse really is. I feel bad for Candace Patton because she could and does play a boss. They just won't elevate her character arc, which is annoying as hell, probably due to misogyny. Oh, okay. So this is another thing. They call themselves compensating by making her team leader, but what they don't realize is they made her a target. They literally made Iris a target by giving her basically responsibility over a team of scientists when she doesn't have a science degree. Now, I like to point out, and I did a video called Should Iris West Be Team Leader or Leader of the Flash a long time ago. It's under the Nerd Court section. And one of the things that I pointed out was, if you watch the show Eureka, the main character was a former, I think he was a ranger, and then became the sheriff of Eureka and had absolutely no science knowledge whatsoever. But he was helping basically solve these like intricate like F-ups that the scientists were doing because they're thinking inside the box, inside a theorem, inside of, logic. And he's like, well, what if I just push this button, and he literally, that was his role. And that's what I saw Iris doing. Iris at no point in time in this show was ever saying, well, let's go to the Markovitch theorem and see how this applies, to physics and blah, blah, blah. Now, That is not what happened. She did not do that. She became the one in charge because she was the wife of the Flash. That's literally it. And they gave her something to do. But by doing that, by them writing her that way, she literally became even more hated than she was when she was initially cast, which quite frankly was because she was Black. And that's what that was. I stand by that because no other character has gotten hate like Iris' character has on that entire show. And that is the truth. 1,000,000,000%. I don't follow these ships. Like, I don't do this West Allen Snowberry shit. I don't care. I really don't care. I don't. I know who he's with in the comics. I know how many women he's been with in the comics. Quite frankly, Barry needs to take some soul searching time for himself because his character, even though he's not my favorite Flash in the comics either, was also assassinated because this man was supposed to be brilliant, great with science, and he's been basically reduced to a bumbling idiot who slow thinks and makes plans that make absolutely no sense and like literally has to be rescued or have somebody else tell him how to do his job because, you know, at this point he should be OP. He's the second Arrowverse series that we have and he's not. He's not OP. He's just dumb. Guys, and Crisis didn't save that at all. Nothing. There's a line in my Crisis parody where literally when they were talking and, you know, they're like, well, what did Spectre say? Well, Spectre said the Speed Force is the key to everything. And Barry Allen says, then why wasn't the Speed Force the key to saving everything to begin with? That was my question. That is why I put that in because they never effing explained it. They never explained the Book of Destiny other than them holding it and that we know that you can scratch your name out and put whoever's name you want. I mean, I could have gotten the Book of Destiny and said, guess what? You know what? I think Chris Evans is now going to be the paragon of love. Chris Evans, the actor? Why the hell not? It's the Book of Destiny. You can fill in the effing blank. There's no reason for me to travel from Earth to Earth trying to find Kingdom Come Superman because all I got to do is write his damn name in and he's there. It's effing stupid. It's stupid. So yeah, no, guys, don't get me on this. Don't get me on this tangent. In my feelings. Even in the Spider-Man PS4 game, no Avengers make an appearance in the storyline, but you know Spidey encountered them because you can visit Avenger Tower. Yeah, like I said, I don't understand. I don't. Caitlin is getting boring. Like, why? Well, for me, Caitlin has always been boring. And honestly, the only reason that the actress I believe ever got cast in that show is because she was friends with one of the producers, and she's also directing a lot of the episodes. When you look at promos for The Flash, you see Caitlin across the board. Not Killer Ross. You see pictures of Caitlin. I always make fun of the fact that at the end of Crisis, it is Caitlin that Barry is sitting watching TV with and not his damn wife who literally died in the previous episode, who now the whole world is back. Instead of you sitting with your effing spouse, you are in Star Labs watching TV with Caitlin. I don't know what's happening on that set. I don't know what's happening on that show, but, you know, it was a mess to begin with. In the beginning, I was not going to watch Superman and Lois, but then I found out about the Natalie storyline, and then I kind of watched it and can't wait for the next season with that finale. Yep, I'm hoping she's going to be Steel because, you know, she becomes Steel in the comics, so I am here for that. Crisis is plum cake to me. I mean, it's just trash. It really is. I've never been so upset with the potential. There was so much effing potential. They were getting people to come in from like Birds of Prey. You know, they were getting like literally Robin from Adam West run. They had so many people. You had like little inserts of Titans. You had all of these people doing these little micro cameos. You got freaking Kevin Conroy to be Batman. How do you fuck that up? How do you fuck it up? It's like, how do you? It's literally like doing a high school or middle school project where everybody takes a piece home, but nobody communicates. So you guys are like all over the effing place when you do your presentation. Nobody knows what order you're in. Nobody knows what the hell you're talking about. That is Crisis in a nutshell. It is that group project you should have had better partners with. That's literally it. Superman and Lois is ironically my favorite CW show. It is mine too, actually. Stargirl is number 2. So those are my top 2 right there. If I were to rank them in order right now, I can't put Black Lightning on the list because it's gone and Painkiller is not a thing, which is stupid. Then I would say Superman and Lois, then Stargirl, then Legends of Tomorrow, then Supergirl, then The Flash. Yes, I like Supergirl more than I like The Flash. And that is a damn shame. So it's a thing. And I dislike Superman quite a bit. It depends on the version of Superman. I don't dislike, I can say I don't dislike any characters. I just call them out on their shit. Like when I think about Superman, he is OP as hell, but I mean, he is just like Kara in the sense that he literally is living on a planet he does not belong to, with people that will never accept him as one of them. And call that because I'm mixed. Growing up on the outside, I always feel like an outsider. I kind of connected with that a little bit. So that's why I don't hate him. I don't hate Bruce Wayne's Batman. I just think Bruce Wayne's Batman is batshit crazy and needs to have therapy. And the fact that he's never had therapy is why he has trust issues and why he has all of this other crap going on. I mean, it's just true. The man is certifiably nuts. So he's been on PTSD. His trauma has shaped him into something cray. But he's just very, very brilliant. And so he's able to mask that. And he's a great detective. I mean, for me, Batman's one of the greatest detectives besides the Clue, literally in all of that universe. At the same time, he needs Linda from Lucifer. He needs to be on that damn couch like ASAP. So yeah, it's a thing. It is a thing. No hope of a Sarah Lance Painkiller team up. I know. I mean, I guess the door could be open for Painkiller to make an appearance. But I mean, I do not understand why they did not greenlight that show. That show blew me away. The pilot of that show, which is, basically one of the episodes of Black Lightning, blew me away. I don't get it. I hate that they bought Supergirl. Like, I don't hate her character. In fact, I find her more likable and more relatable than Superman. True. I mean, that's always been the case, though, even in the comics. I've never had a problem with that. Supergirl is one of my favorite DC characters, if not my favorite. And there's a lot. The only storyline I hated with Kara is when she was in a relationship with Lex. That shit boggled my brain. It just boggled my brain. But let's literally be like clear here. Had they kept to the comics, Kara would be dead right now because she is actually one of the ones. Her and the Flash actually died in Crisis in the comics. So, I guess having Kingdom Come Superman die and having Green Arrow die, which is still so funny to me, the importance of Green Arrow. And he is not, like, he's a B character at best in the comics. But not saying he's not a badass character. He's just not the badass character because we already have Batman. We didn't need Arrow. I just think it's funny. I think it's all funny. CW is allergic to good ideas. You are absolutely correct. The writers and showrunners for Supergirl said that at the end of the series, she will be more powerful than Kal-El in Superman and Lois. I'm cool with that. I am cool with that. They're sitting on the Swamp Thing property, and that show was amazing. Yeah. I really like Superman and Lois a lot. Batwoman, Stargirl, Flash, Arrowverse is so up in the air. I miss the Arrow so much. I was kind of the beginning of the universe. So I will say this. The first 2, maybe 3 seasons of Arrow was not bad. They weren't bad. Especially, I love season 1 and 2 of Arrow. Those were great. But when we started seeing Oliver taking field trips off the island that he's supposed to be stranded on for 5 years, meeting all of these people, essentially never being alone, always being able to beat everybody, even Ra's al Ghul. He beat, Nyssa, who makes no fucking sense. She's basically trained her entire life, but he trained for 5 years and he was able to take her out and Ra's al Ghul. And I just find that irritatingly stupid. And I didn't like it. But again, the first couple of seasons, I absolutely loved. And the Huntress that they had I believe it was season 1, it might've been season 2, absolutely loved. Then it just started going downhill. And then it became more about Oliver's soap opera life, like trying to get with Felicity. Should I tell Felicity I have a son? Maybe I should keep it from her. Surely that's a great idea. Felicity getting shot and not being able to walk. It was like, what is this show actually about at this point? So it's a thing. So I had problems with that. And then as for, Batwoman, again, you guys already know I did my Batwoman rant on the season finale of Batwoman. I was Ryan Wilder's biggest effing supporter when they announced we were getting Ryan Wilder. I'm like, you know what? This could be a good thing. We're going to go somewhere, a new universe. It is the Arrowverse, so it's not accurate. I literally got in my feelings about, what they did with Ryan, because they did nothing with Ryan. They did not give Ryan a life of her own. They did the same shit they did with Lynn and Iris. And her only importance in that show came from her getting all of Kate Kane's shit. So I can't subscribe to it. And yes, I'm still going to watch Batwoman. And yes, I'm still going to watch all of these shows. But I am extremely honest in my reviews. And right now I am not subscribed to Ryan Wilder, because Ryan Wilder for me does not effing exist. She is the Black Kate Kane. She has no other story. She just has her being an ex-con, telling people that they made mistakes for arresting her, even though you admitted to carrying drugs, and technically that's legal. You got arrested legally because you carry drugs. No matter they weren't your drugs. You took your girlfriend's drugs to get away from you. You ran out of the building with them. You were caught in possession of drugs. That's an accurate arrest. So it's just stuff like that. It's bad writing. This is not a Javicia Leslie problem. This is not Technically, it's not even a Ryan Wilder problem. This is a writing problem, and this is an Arrowverse writing problem. Batwoman is not the Batwoman that they claim they were doing. She's not powerful, a strong Black woman. She is a pretty charismatic Black woman who literally has, I guess, importance because she lives in Kate Kane's penthouse with Kate Kane's sister, is the manager of Kate Kane's bar, is flirting with Kate Kane's girlfriend, has Kate Kane's, basically dual identity. I mean, I can go on and on and on how she literally is Black Kate Kane. I'm just saying. So you want to make us like Ryan Wilder? Tell us who the hell Ryan Wilder is outside of being an ex-arrestee who lived in a van and had a plant. And obviously, that whole shit with Alice was kind of effed up at the end. I'm sorry. Final Supergirl season will establish Supergirl is stronger than Superman. Found this in an article. That is very cool. I forgot that Arrow beat Ross. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't, because my BS flag started flying. I was hoping they give Kara a sonic scream in this episode, like they did in the comics. You know what? They might do that by the end of the season. They might be actually taking some of her coolest moves, because she could teleport. There was actually a series where she was able to teleport herself. She would shake so fast she was able to teleport herself from one spot to another. I don't know what the distance was. This wasn't like Nightcrawler level teleportation, but like it was impressive. If Arrow went long enough to include Shiva, CW probably would have brought it in a good idea to have Oliver beat Shiva in unarmed combat. Well, they knew better. They knew better than bring my lady Shiva into Arrow. They already knew. I mean, I will call upon my African and Native ancestors. Hell, I'm sure in Scotland I have Highlander ancestors too. We will get together and we will correct that shit. So they knew not to do that. Maria, what do you think of Titans? I love season 1. I've only seen season 1 because for a while I didn't have HBO Max, but I have it back. So I will be checking out the rest of it. It is in our queue, and especially since the new season is coming and everyone's telling me I have to watch Titans. So I guess I have to watch Titans, but I like season 1 a lot. It's a shame Emily Richards didn't have badass scenes, because after seeing her workout routine, I'm wondering, damn, y'all just letting her sit there? I mean, they do that all the damn time. I'm like, there's tons of characters you wouldn't know were badass. Tons. I will say about Titans, I actually like the actor who portrayed Bruce Wayne. It was really different. Okay. He's younger, right? I'm pretty sure I can't remember the last episode that I saw on Titans. I saw Titans season 1 like last year or the year before last. The year before last, I got basically Blurred Without Fear got me watching season 1. I don't know if we might have had, I think we did have a Bruce Wayne short scene in season 1, or I'm confusing it with something, because I'm also watching Doom Patrol. So, effing love Doom Patrol. Let's see. I think the reason Arrow got a bigger focus for Elicity is because the casual audience responded best to that, and they catered to the casual audience the most, and the teen and tween girls fangirling. Yeah, I could see that because honestly, there's no universe where Oliver was not with Dinah and Black Canary. And Black Canary was one of the other, besides Mr. Terrific, another character assassination on the Arrowverse. Black Canary was not Black Canary. I think the closest we got to Black Canary outside of Black Siren was White Canary. Oh my God, when Sarah was Black Canary. Titans is apparently going through the Red Hood storyline right now. Oh, okay. I need to check that out. I don't really like the actor for Jason Todd, though. Not angry, though. Oh, the actor for Bruce is quite mature, maybe a little bit younger, or maybe the same age as Kevin Conroy. Okay. More Brendan Fraser, please. I love Brendan Fraser. Ruby Rose is 5'7". The new Kate Kane is 5'10". So adjusting Javisa's height from Rose was probably not as hard, but it would have been easier to just keep the new Kate Kane. Well, I'm 5'5". So her wearing Ruby Rose's costume without altering it was already weird for me because I know if I put on clothes that are even 3 inches taller than me, they're going to be long. So I don't get it. I don't get it because if you look at Javisa Leslie, she's 5'3" or 5'4", wearing a 5'7" suit. It don't track with me, but that's just a fashion thing. Stop watching Arrow because they were in those 5 years he was barely on that island and he was just everywhere else making a mess. They'll come back to him. It got annoying. Plus one and more. Yeah, and literally he was like meeting Amanda Waller. I mean, there's so many people that he was meeting off the island. I'm like, how are you like, my name is Oliver Queen and I was stranded on the isle of, no, you weren't. No, you weren't. You were literally, if this was Animal Crossing, you were using your Nuke Mile tickets every damn day. I don't want to hear that shit. No. As mysterious as Lois' self-sustaining farm. Yes. Yes. Because we all know, that the farm and Superman and Lois does not ever have anybody do anything. Now, somebody pointed out, it might have been Madness, that they do fix the tractors. But my problem is they don't use the tractor. So then why the hell are the tractors broken? Because they don't do any work. They don't do anything on the farm. Like literally Lois is like telling John Henry, we could use some help around the farm. Yes, you can. You should use some help doing something on the farm. It's called motivation. Get off your ass and work on the farm. I don't understand. I don't understand. I didn't know Kevin Conroy was gay until a few weeks ago. Yep. I've known that for a long time. I want to know their secret. I'd love to do nothing and get paid. I mean, I don't think they get paid, dear. I think they just don't have to pay bills. That's what it is. They don't have to pay their mortgage. Or they don't have to buy food. It just appears. It is what it is. I mean, Lois did sell that. They sold their brownstone in Metropolis, and she gave the money to Chrissy so she could be partners with her. And I'm like, you could have literally paid off the farm. You could have paid off the effing farm. You could have paid the mortgage off. Oh, priorities, guys. The priorities. I don't get it. I don't get it. But it is what it is. I don't know. All right, guys, we are almost to an hour and a half. My sinuses are trying to kill me. I feel like I'm Constantine right now. I feel like my sinuses are evil Maria. And she's strangling me right now because I am literally not breathing. So I'm going to go. We are tomorrow night going to have our What If stream at 7:30. I will set this stream up. We are also, if you are my L fans, I will be having an L Word probably 12:30 stream. I know it's late, but I mean, I try to hit it quickly because Friday is really hard. I do a lot of voiceover stuff. So I have 4 auditions this weekend. So I need to get my videos done because I need to get them out so I can do my other work. Also, approach to Yuri. I do have an Abigail and Rael video coming out. So it is coming out. I just had some rendering F-ups I'm trying to fix. I think one of the codecs are wrong. So it's just taking me a minute, but it is going to be posted. It was supposed to be posted yesterday. So I do apologize about that. Again, I am sorry if you're late to this stream for me being late or having this late in the evening. Is this late in the evening because my air conditioning in this room went out and it took them effing forever to figure out why, because it wasn't out in the rest of the house. So I apologize. But yeah, so be on the lookout for that. And again, my first spotlight video should be out this weekend as well, and that is on Wildcat. So you'll get your Yolanda, all your Yolanda love, because again, she was originally a metahuman. I know a lot of people don't know that, which is why I chose to release that one first. So that's what we're doing, guys. Love you. If it is day for you, have a very good day. If it is evening for you, have a very good evening. And I will see you tomorrow night for our What If episode 3 stream. Have a good day, guys. Bye.